Ooh. Oh God, the lighting on this is so bad. Y'all are just gonna have to get the fuck over it. Actually, I could turn this light on and maybe it would do something. Okay, don't look at my skirt, fucking furnos. Maybe, or I can bring it over here. I do have like this random video light over in this corner. Yeah, that didn't do anything. You know what? Let me go grab an umbrella and we'll see if it's better. Let me see if this makes the lighting any better. Whew. Barely. So I took my braids out, and so I'm just now meticulously going through my hair and detangling it. Look how long my hair is. I haven't like washed my hair yet. That's the plan. But yeah, look how long my hair is. My hair is almost boob length. That's what happens when you put protective styles in your hair. And there's just so many things that have gone on, and like I have a lot of new things I want to like vent about and share with you guys, because I've had kind of a doozy couple of days, to be honest. And I feel like I haven't done one of these in a minute, and there's just so much going on. I want to do a whole broadcast about Black men and sort of my experience with them, because I had a very interesting experience recently, too, actually. And I've already kind of ranted about that on social media before, but I wanted to do it again because a lot of people have given me shit for not, in quotations, dating Black men. But the reality is Black men aren't dating me. Though I did get asked on a date recently by this really, really handsome Black guy, and so we might, you know. Anyway, we don't want to rant about that, but there's that I want to talk about, and let's just talk about like what's on my mind today, right now, immediately, because I'm learning so many things about myself. So moving out to LA has definitely been a change for me in so many different ways. So for context, ever since I was younger, all I wanted to do is live in LA. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to move to LA, run away to LA. Like, this was in the back of my head, right? But living and visiting are clearly and obviously very different. And I always knew this about LA, but it's becoming clearer now. LA has pretty extreme 6 degrees of separation. Like, it's super obvious. It's really apparent. Communities are fucking small. And I've learned that really obviously through, like, you know, there are people who are in the goth scene that I see all the time. There are people in other spaces. There are people in the poly scene that I see in other places. There are people in the BDSM scene that I see in other places. And they all kind of know each other. And I had a conversation today that just made me realize just how fucking small it is. Now I'm a little pissed off about this, to be completely honest. So I'm trying not to be a little like too animated because I'm a little pissed off. But I learned, you know, here's the thing, y'all. One of the things that I want to impress on this channel when I rant about my life and I tell you guys what's going on is that I fuck up. I I fuck up and I do the wrong thing. And I'm still really trying to figure out how good it is for me socially to make videos like this. I'm still figuring that out. So yeah. So I told you guys about this guy that I was dating for a while, who me and him stopped dating for many reasons, but largely because, he was inexperienced with trans women and just kind of came to this ultimate conclusion that we shouldn't date, right? And then he dumped me a couple weeks ago. I wasn't really mad about that, honestly, because as much as I liked him and as much of a bummer it was, dating him gave me a lot of anxiety, but he was a really, really good friend. And dating him was great because I got to spend time around his wife, and I had not had a lot of experiences of being around people whose partners I also knew. And because we both saw each other at poly events and now BDSM events, it was just really nice to sort of have this person who fits into multiple spaces, right? Multiple places in my life, who is also dating a man that I'm dating. We're not dating, we're fucking married. But the person that I, was seeing. It was nice, right? And if you follow me for a minute, you've heard me say this, but I've always had issues having female friends. Like, guy friends are pretty easy for me to find. Like, most of the people like that I call my friends are men. I have very few strong relationships with women, and not that I was necessarily not that I necessarily had a deep relationship with his wife, because I didn't. But she was one of the few women in these spaces that I was like, oh wow, she's really cool and I want to kind of be her friend. And so that was that. Now we all go to the same like poly meetup, right? And there's a guy who goes to this poly meetup who people, I'm gonna be very vague about this because I mean part of this problem is me being a gossip. I'm not going to get too specific about it. There's a guy who is known to be sort of shitty, in a very particularly anti-feminist way. Let's just say that, right? And he had this, sort of experience with the wife of the guy that I was seeing, and it was really scary. It was really shitty. And so I definitely was alert to that. I will say though that when it came to this guy and who he was and sort of the ideologies that I knew he had sort of fit into, I kind of found him to be a sort of funny character because he really was that like typical sort of anti-feminist, masculinist type dude. And sometimes I get in these really shitty headspaces where when I meet people who I know have like really shitty politics, I want to like poke the bear a little bit. And so one thing I'm learning, like I said, 6 degrees of separation are intense, but also the poly community is very, very small. And one of the things I had kind of done was after sort of being told about him, I kind of would joke with people from time to time about, him and his politics. And I didn't really think much of that, to be honest with you. I thought, okay, ha ha ha, I've heard this guy does that, kind of thing. But I never had a conversation with him. And I'd never talked to him about any of it. It was just kind of a thing I was talking about with other people. Now, looking back, bitch, that was messy as hell. I was gossiping, I had no, I had no real reason to say that. You know what I mean? I have no reason to say that, no reason to talk about that person in that way. I just sort of, in my little shittiness, I guess, thought he was a funny character and yes, would talk shit. Right? Now when the guy that I was seeing dumped me, there was definitely like some distance I needed, but I ultimately knew and felt, that he was a person who I wanted to be in my life. He's not a bad person. He's a great friend. He's funny. He knows a lot of people. He's a good person to know. He's a good person for me to know. And I know that sounds like taking advantage of people's connections thing. One thing you'll learn about me is that's not in my personality. I don't like to maintain relationships where, I have to be fake. If I want to be in touch with someone, it's because you enhance some portion of my life. And there's not very many men who I've dated who I have also felt like, oh my gosh, yeah, I want to keep in touch with you. I really liked him. I really liked his wife. And I wanted to maintain at least a friendship with him. So anyway, today I messaged him and I'm like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Just checking in, making sure everything's okay. He was like, yeah, I'm fine. I've been busy with this and busy with that, da 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 da. And then he told me that apparently there was a party that him and his wife were at, and that guy was there. The guy who I was, gossiping about was there. And apparently he had cornered his wife and told her that I had a personal face-to-face conversation with him about him being this sort of person. And that I told him that they told I told him that they had told me that. Now, bitch, if you ever want to get under my fucking skin, like if you're ever looking for a way to really bother me, to like really, really bother me, lie about me. Just lie about me. When I heard this today, it really pissed me off because I never had a face-to-face conversation. And the thing that was so annoying about this was that this guy apparently had mentioned my work name. He had mentioned Cat Black. Now, I've talked about this before on these streams, but if you ever meet me in person in like a quote unquote regular normal setting, and you try to talk to me about what I do, I'll usually be pretty fucking vague. I'll usually be, because I don't like for people to know what I do. Not that it's a secret or anything. It's more of like, I'm just not, when you're a YouTuber and you introduce yourself as a YouTuber, people instantly have this idea of who you are. People instantly think, oh, you must think you're this or you're that or da 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 da, and you're such a big deal. And I really don't think any of that. There's also the fact that my stuff is very political, and oftentimes, like, the only people I want to have deep political conversations with to really understand where they stand are people who I'm fucking. And if we're not fucking, like, I just don't necessarily want to talk to you about these things. So I'm usually trying really hard to not discuss it, but this guy knew my work name. Now, I guess maybe it's unrealistic for me to be like, oh, I'm going to be able to maintain some sort of anonymity, I guess. Like, that's pretty unrealistic, right? I guess it's like I'm used to being known within a very fringe context. Like, I'm not famous. There are people who know who I am, but that's not most people, right? I'm very used to people not quite knowing me, and I really, really fucking like that. I strongly, strongly prefer it because I to be honest with you guys, when you have people who are constantly running up to you and saying heavy shit about, oh, you've changed my life, or wanting to have lighthearted conversations about heavy fucking it's a little overwhelming. And so, like I said, I tend not to put that in the front, right? And so when he told me that he mentioned me by name and then said Cat Black, that was really fucking weird, because especially at these poly meetups, I'm not introducing myself as Cat Black. I'm just not. I'm saying, hi, my name is Catherine. I'm just, but, he's an anti-feminist. And so he's probably familiar with various anti-feminists who have whinged about my work for fucking ever. And so, coming out of the conversation, I realized, you know what, Kat, look, no one likes to be, gossiped about. I mean, even if the gossip really was, hey, this is a really toxic person, stay away, no one likes to be gossiped about. And so it's not like I feel necessarily bad for, because I trust what the guy was saying. I trust what his wife said. I believe her 100%. It's not like, there was not probably a reason to say that, but I probably shouldn't have been mentioning it. I probably shouldn't have been leaning over to people and telling them, oh yeah, that guy, I heard he's this, this, and that. That was messy of me. And I guess I understand that now. And I'm not generally a gossip. I'll definitely listen to people talk shit, but I generally don't. And I'm always the sort of person it's a problem of mine. I'm always the sort of person who's like, oh my God, you guys all talk shit about this person. Well, let me see for myself. Let me figure out, for myself. But in this situation, I was just being kind of shitty. I was laughing at the idea that this guy, was into that sort of thing. I thought it was funny, because this guy he's literally like a character. He is a character. The way he dresses, the way he positions himself, he's a character. And I guess my type of what I think is funny is making fun of that. But I was gossiping, and that was not right. That was not right. And I understand that now. I really understand that now. And so when I was having a conversation with him today, I checked and I saw that she had defriended me and stuff. And that really hurt, because I really, really liked her. You know what I mean? And she was definitely someone who I had seen as a friend. And it hurt me even more that this person had lied on me and said that I had a direct conversation with them and pointed at her. That fucking shit, oh my God, that pisses me off. And I asked him, I was like, should I fucking confront this guy? Because he's at every fucking meetup I go to. Should I confront this guy? And he's like, no, that would just cause more drama. And I absolutely agree. I also want to yell. I want to yell at him. I want to yell at him, because that was a 100% bold-faced lie. Did I talk about him? Yes. Did I gossip about him? Yes. Did I have a direct conversation where I pointed over to her and said, oh yeah, she told me? No. Did not fucking happen. And he knows that it didn't happen. He knows that things didn't go that way. But because he now said that, and he cornered her at a party, I'm the piece of shit. And that really fucking sucks. That really, really fucking sucks. And so I need to give them space, not just her, but them space. I'm okay with that. I mean, it sucks because I was always happy to see both of them at any event I was at. It was like, oh, you guys are, family in a way. But now, she has this image of me that is really shitty. And I hate that. I really do hate that, because obviously when I was sitting there joking with people, I wasn't thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to get back to her and that's going to hurt her. I also wasn't thinking that it was, I wasn't thinking it was privy information. I did not think that. I mean, in retrospect, when it comes to dealing with people who have had a personal experience with a person and saying that, they did this and did that, and then sharing that with other people, I guess that was privy information. I just didn't think of it in that way, so I learned my lesson. And to be honest with you guys, in a lot of other spaces I've been in recently, I've run into similar situations where I, in the interest of just talking about my experiences, run into these things where it gets back to the person, and the community is really, really fucking small. And people will think, I'm worried about people thinking that I'm like a gossip now, because I'm not. I'm really not a gossip. Can I be messy? Absolutely fucking yes. But usually I like to sit there and listen to the gossip, and like I don't like to take it anywhere. And I don't want the reputation of being a person who gossips, that's really not me. Um, you know, and I do wish that she had a conversation with me. I really do. But considering the situation, which I'm again being very vague about, she believes her particular experience and it's valid. I mean, I guess it doesn't help that I've been making a lot of Facebook posts about her husband, but not like really about him, more about how I felt dating him and the experience of going out with a guy who I really liked and thought was really, really cool, but who couldn't accept my body. Like that was a really hurtful experience for me. And so I'm gonna have shit to say about it. And on my private Facebook page, I really do feel like I can vent in ways that I can't publicly because I have my friends and people I know in real life. And so I'll say stuff, a little bit, better, but it is what it is. I've been doing this thing. I've had this conversation myself recently, and I've talked about it on here. I do this thing often where I say, I'm not gonna explain myself to people and who gives a fuck and who cares, da, 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 da. But then I always find myself doing that, I always say I'm not gonna chase people, but I always find myself chasing people. I just have to sort of get past it, I guess. And just really remind myself that if I'm saying that and I'm trying to represent myself that way, I need to make sure that I'm consistent. I need to not be in a situation where, I'm doing something I don't want to do for the sake of maybe, maintaining some sort of relationship. But anyway, so that was the first thing today that really upset me and like got me like in a really shitty mood because I like both of them. I think they're both great people, and I would never ever want to do anything that hurt them or put them in a position where they didn't feel safe. And I'm really pissed off at this guy. Like I really want to like yell at him because how dare you lie on me like that? You could have just said that I talked about you and it got back to you. You did not have to lie and say I had a direct conversation, because me talking shit to other people is very different than me having a direct conversation with you and pointing over to her and saying she told me this. Like that's really shitty. Um, look how long my fucking hair is. Look how long that is. Anyway, so let me tell you about last night. So yesterday I went on 2 dates because I have a problem. And I went on a date with this guy that this was the guy that I went on a date with was another guy that I had gone on like a second date. I mean, this was the guy who was the dom that I met up with later in the day after I went on that first date that wasn't that great at the Chinese place. So we went to see Avengers, which by the way was aggravating and upsetting. Was really aggravating, upsetting. That whole fucking movie, like I was so mad at the end. I'm not gonna spoil it for you guys, but like I was like, bitch, what? And then we stayed for the after credits, and I was like, bitch, what? I mean, did I have fun? Yes. Did I enjoy it? Sure. But it still left me being like, bitch, what? um so anyway, that was fine, and we did cuddle a little bit. I'm feeling really bad about dating him though, because it's weird. I feel like So here's the thing. I told you last time when I talked about him, this guy is a sweet guy and we did have a good date, but the way he photographs and the way he looks in person is so different. It's so different. I said, the example I gave you guys was like when he takes photos, he's like a rectangle, right? He's like a long rectangle. When he's in person, you know, the proportions are scrunched down. The way he took photos, he took a lot of photos from here, which made his face look like long and, you know, kind of angular and stuff. But in reality, he's a little bit of a rounder person, which is fine. But I didn't get quite what I was expecting looks wise. And that really threw me off. But he's a really nice person. I'm sort of feeling a little bit like, maybe we're more compatible in a BDSM context than like a dating context. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out because he's a nice guy. He's a great guy. But I'm not as attracted to him as I would like to be. You know, and so, but how do you say that to a person? How do you say that to a person? I think that's the thing. It's like, how do I express? I think you're really cool, but I wasn't as attracted to you as I thought I would be. I don't know. Because I'm also a sort of person where I can definitely grow to like someone. Like I can definitely grow to see him in an attractive way. But he definitely wasn't what I was expecting. And that's just kind of, I don't know, that makes me feel a lot of ways. So yeah, so that was fine. And he seems like when we first contacted me, he was telling me he's so busy, he's so unavailable, this and this and that. He's reached his like poly saturation level. But he's now very available and wants to see me a lot. And I feel sort of bad because I have these reservations, but we'll see. Oh, by the way, polyamorous guy, not polyamorous guy, pansexual guy, have not heard from him. He told me he was in Palm Springs, and he wasn't around his phone, and I called him and I texted him, and I haven't heard from him. And I think I said on here, if I didn't hear from him, I wouldn't give a fuck or whatever, but I kind of give a fuck because we were having good dates, we were cuddling, we were having good times, and now he's just ghosted on me. And that feels really bad. But at the same time, he's got a lot of life stuff to figure out. He's got a lot of shit to figure out. And so I don't know, maybe it's for the best. Yeah, maybe it's for the best. But yeah, so anyway, the second date I went on after I went to see Avengers was with a poly guy who's married. And I met him on OkCupid, and I was really looking forward to it. And he actually took me to like this really, really nice restaurant in LA. It was really expensive. And I will say, you know, this is a good date, not too much to say except for the shit that happened at the end. He had like this eye impediment, I guess. I don't know what the name he gave it, but it was an impediment where like he couldn't look at me straight. So his eyes were constantly jittering and things like that. And that really threw me off because it was like not what I was expecting. But I guess for people who have things like that, it's probably really hard to tell people that. I don't know. I guess I'm very different in the way that I approach stuff because I'm very like, well, let me say everything you need to know before you meet me because I want to save my time. And so I don't like to show up on a date and surprise people with stuff. Like even when I went on these 2 dates, I wore a wig and I was like, just so you know, just so you know. You know, I'm going to be wearing a wig today. I know that all my photos I had, these red braids, but unfortunately I don't how I took my hair out. And so I'm going to be wearing a wig. I've been rocking Bernadette. And so that's what the situation is going to be. And so, because I don't want to surprise anyone. I don't want to surprise anyone. So I guess, I don't know, because his profile never mentioned anything about that. He didn't mention anything about that, but he's still a really cute guy, and he was still a really nice guy, and we went on a nice date, and everything was fine, and, I definitely am looking forward to seeing him again. But something really funny happened at the end of it. Now, bitch, this is going to make you gag, because it really... Like, I think these past couple of days have been like a self-drag. Like, they've been the days of like me dragging myself, because I had an experience that really made me say, like, really, bitch. Now, before I go into here, I'll say quickly, remember the date I was going to go on with the guy who was like afraid to tell his friends that he was interested in trans women, da-da-da-da-da. We went on a date. It was great. I hit him up, contacted him like, hey, what's up? I'd love to see you again. He got back to me and was like, oh, so here's the thing. I'm not interested because it seems like you have a lot of baggage from your last relationship, and I'm just not interested in dating someone who just got out of a 5-year relationship. Well, first he told me, well, you're not looking, you're looking for something more serious than what I can offer. And I'm like, bitch, I just got out of a fucking 5-year relationship. I'm not looking to be strapped down to anyone right now. So, whatever. But he's just like, I'm sorry, it is what it is, da-da-da-da-da. And that was really upsetting, because it was really hard for me not to feel like that was trans related, because he hadn't been out with a trans girl. And a lot of the shit that I had thought about was like, like there were times when I was younger and dating where men would take me out in public just to be shocked and surprised and be in awe at the fact that they could sit in public with me. And so a lot of what I thought when, he was not quite, interested in dating me again was like, oh, maybe that's what it was, where he was just so eager to have the experience of being in the same space as a trans person that he took me out on a good date and then didn't want to see me anymore. It was weird. Like, if it was a bad date, I get it. But, to be fair, this was the date where my ex was texting me and I was emotional and I couldn't not tell him about it, because obviously it was going on in my head. So that sucked. I was pretty upset about that, because I really liked that guy, but whatever, there's a lot of Jewish actors with beards that I can date in LA. I'll be okay. I'll be fine. So anyway, so when I went to the guy that I went with who has the eye issue, we went to this really nice restaurant and then decided to go to this bar up the street. Bar up the street was really, really loud. And so we went to this bar. I'm trying to be very inspecific, very vague. This bar that in the name sort of suggested that the bar would be quieter. Let's just say that. And so we're at this bar and I'm drinking my red wine, because that's what I'm drinking now, because I'm on a diet or whatever. And when we're sitting down, I see this guy that looks so much like a guy that I used to go out with. And I'm sitting there, and I'm having a good time with my date, but I'm like 4 drinks in. And I'm getting a little frustrated, because here's this guy who I know I've had sex with, who's at this bar. And he was a guy who, this is a long fucking story. I've never told this story on here, but it's kind of a lot. I've been a little nervous telling you guys about it, to be completely honest with you, because I don't know. it's just kind of an embarrassing story. But I'm going to tell you guys because, you guys are cool. So, New Year's for me was really fucking rough. Okay. Christmas for me was really fucking rough. I had this situation where I had just moved down here. I was completely alone. I had no support of my family or friends. I was stressed out. I was going through it. And I was doing everything on my own. My ex wasn't helping me. My friends weren't helping me. The men I was dating weren't helping me. They were all just too fucking busy. And so moving out here in December really just intensified my feelings of loneliness. And so when I moved out here, I went on a shitload of dates and had a shitload of experiences with men. And I'd gone on this date with this guy. We'll call him, what are we going to call him? Giant. We're going to call him Giant, okay? Giant was, this 6'3", dark-haired guy with a beard, of course, who was just sexy as fuck. Just sexy as fuck. And so we went on one nice little date where we sat in a bar and talked about life or whatever. And the next time we planned on going out was going to be New Year's Eve. I had a plan to go, and be out on New Year's Eve and have a good time and make out with some boys and just have a good fucking time. Now, since I've been single, one of the things I've been exploring is dating men who are not straight. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, when I say not straight, I'm not saying gay, I'm saying bisexual and pansexual men specifically. Because to be honest, dating men who identify as straight and are very they need that to be constantly reinforced are kind of exhausting, especially they're kind of fucking exhausting, to be completely honest. There's nothing more exhausting than having to maintain someone else's sexuality because they're so fucking insecure at it. And so I've been sort of trying to go out with men who are a little bit more open with their sexualities, who have no qualms about them liking whatever. And so the guy, Giant, was pansexual, right? And so when Giant and I were looking at places to go out, we looked at a bunch of different things, but he was really, really focused on going to this gay party. Now, we've talked about this before. We've had this conversation before. I do not like gay spaces. I don't like gay clubs. I don't like, gay bars. I mean, I'll take that back. It's not that I don't like them. It's more of I'll never really want to go. I'll never elect to go there unless I'm with gay friends. That's the only time where I have a good time at a gay bar. It's just not my thing. Whenever I go, I feel so out of place. I feel like I'm low-key intruding. And so I just don't like that. And the idea of going to a gay New Year's Eve party was I'm really fucking okay. I'm really, really fucking okay. But he really wanted to go. And so I'd sort of left, I'd sort of just left it to be determined, I guess. I've kind of left it in the air. So around this time, I was actually putting the braids in. This is how long my braids have been in my head. The braids I just took out, those were the braids that I was installing before New Year's Eve. So I've had my braids in my hair for 4 months. 4 fucking months. That's way too long. That's way too fucking long. And girl, when I get done with my braids, I want to go out. I want to go do stuff. I want to not be at home. And I was ready to go out for New Year's Eve, but I didn't have any plans. I didn't, I knew that I wanted to go see this guy, and I knew that I wanted to be around him when it was New Year's Eve, but I hadn't picked where we were going, and it was up to me to figure out where we were going. And so when I was looking at the options, everything was like really expensive, you know, and just really overpriced. But the gay party was free. And so I hit up my friend Latif, who's thy native on here, and I was like, what are you doing for New Year's? And he just happened to be going to the same gay party that Giant wanted to go to. And so, you know, I was like, bitch, it's free. All right. It's close. This guy I'm talking to wants to go to this party. Whatever. Like, let's just go. I'll probably fucking hate it, but I'll be drunk. So like, does it really matter? And so I decide to go. And on my way there, I get a text message from Giant, and he says to me, oh, so here's the thing. You know, my sister just had a kid, and we really want to ring the New Year's in with the kid. And so I can't show up until after the countdown, which sucked because I wanted to go into the new year, you know, making out with the cute guy or whatever. But whatever, we were out, and that was that. So I got to the party with Latif and with Miles, and we're like in the VIP or whatever. And of course, I'm getting the, oh my God, I love your YouTube stuff. Oh my God, oh my God. And I hate that. Like, that's another reason why I don't really go to gay parties, is I absolutely hate that. I absolutely hate that. I really do hate that. I mean, if I'm out at a party, right, wanting to get drunk, right, wanting to have a good time, the last thing I want to do is, oh my God, blah, 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 is engage in that. Oh, girl, my shit's heavy as fuck. My hair is heavy as fuck. Also, side note, don't tell me what to do with my money or what to do with my hair. All right. I'm detangling my hair right now. So anyway, and so we're out at this party, and I'm having sort of a miserable time, but I'm trying to be in a better mood, right? And I know that he's gonna arrive after, you know, midnight, and so I'm gonna be able to have, you know, someone to dance around with. Because girl, nothing about these gay parties, bitch, there's no one here for me. I mean, if I'm out like at a gay party, like, I'm not gonna talk to cute boys. Like, that just is not gonna happen. I'll have a lot of gay men tell me I'm beautiful, which I guess is nice for my ego or whatever. But, you know, I want to make out with someone. And so, and so I couldn't really do that at a gay bar, because gay men are not, contrary to public belief, gay men are not into trans women. And so anyway, I'm, you know, miserable, but I get a text message from him, and he says he's here, right? And so he's there at I see him, I run around to see him, and he looks so sexy. He's like wearing, like this like fur coat, no shirt, jeans. He just looks really hot. And I'm like ready to fucking have a good time, because he's finally here. And so I come up to him, kiss him, and he informs me that he is on Molly. He is on Molly, and he's feeling real good about life. And he's just on cloud 9 or whatever. And so I was a little taken aback. But I was like, whatever. Now, mind you, y'all, I was in a really not so great space. I was really wanting to just be happy and have like a good time and not be miserable, and not be in a position where, who the fuck is that? Sorry. Not be in a position where, you know, I was, really, really not so great space. I was in a really not so great space. I was wanting to just be happy and have like a good time and not be miserable, and not be in a position where, who the fuck is that? Sorry. Not be in a position where, you know, I was, really miserable and just fucking, I don't know. I wanted to have a good time. And so he offered me some Molly. And even though Catherine Wilkins, who is a distinguished Christian woman of God, she would never do Molly, in this moment of Catherine Wilkins being in like a really shitty space and like just not being aggro as fuck, like going through so much shit with the holidays and shit and the loneliness and all that shit. Catherine Wilkins was like, bitch, let's do Molly. And so I popped a Molly, right? And so I popped a Molly and girl. And so I was working on having a wonderful time, but he was already having a wonderful time. Now, this was in the beginning of me deliberately dating polyamorously. This was also in the very beginning of me dating men deliberately who were not straight. So, bitch, this night really put me through it. Really put me through it, girl. So, what happens is we're walking around the party. And mind you, he is like this tall, like 6'3" guy holding on to me in a room full of gay boys, right? Now, one of the reasons why he wanted to go to this party was the way that the party, it was called New Queer's Eve, right? He thought that this party would be, all inclusive and diverse, and there would be people of various genders and sexualities there, and da 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 da. I said, bitch, this is going to be a gay party. This is going to be a straight up gay ass party with a bunch of fucking men shirtless, in jock straps. That is the party we're going to. He didn't believe me. He thought it would be a little bit more diverse, but that was the party that we're going to. Okay? Um, and so we're walking around and he's very aware of like me being into bisexual men and things like that. And so he was walking around and he kept saying to me, like, oh, if you want to have a threesome tonight, you could. If you want to have a threesome tonight, you could. And I'm like, I'm okay. And also, I don't think if I were to have a threesome with a guy tonight, I don't think we'd find him here. So anyway, we're walking around the party and he just keeps doing this thing where he stops, he says hello to someone, and then asks them for a kiss. Right? And so, mind you, this is the second time I've met this guy. Okay? This is the second time I've met this guy. I was really looking forward to like having our cute little night with each other and doing our little things with each other. But he's walking around, saying hi, oh, you look so good. Can I get a kiss? Right? And this is exclusively with men, not with any women, not with any trans people, men. And so I'm low key in the back of my mind getting a little aggravated, because not that I mind him being attracted to men, because what happened is he was going to the party and he smoked. So what would happen is we would walk through the party, and between where we were standing and dancing and the back patio, he'd run into like 3 different men, do the whole "you look really cute tonight" thing. Often these gay boys would look up at me. Now, bitch, y'all know how these gay men are. I'm not trying to generalize, but let me generalize for just a fucking second. These gay boys, and this is what was really aggravating me, because we were holding hands the entire time. These gay boys would give me a look, right? They'd give me a look like, And then they would look me right in the eye and they would turn around and make out with him. Right? And I'm sure in their fucking mind, this was like some hopped up straight guy who was feeling a little frisky, you know, and decided to, you know, make out with men tonight. And so there was so much, like so many of these interactions were like, just like giving me a shitty look and then making out with the guy. And so I'm getting aggro. And so early on, I pull him outside and I'm fucked up. Like, I'm fucked up. I'm drunk. The Molly's starting to hit. Like, I'm really, so here's the thing that happened with me and Molly. And I'm not telling you guys to suggest that you do it. In my Molly experience, Molly made me very direct. Because here he was, he literally he's like all of the very animalistic things that are in my mind that I like of men. He literally embodies that. He's tall, he's bearded, he's dumb, he's a bigger guy than I am. He's a big guy. And so, bitch, on Molly, I dragged him outside. I dragged him outside to tell him something. I'll tell you what I told him. But like, as I'm telling him, I'm literally like falling all over him. Basically, without saying it, my face is like telling him to fuck me. Like, it's like, usually I would be so indirect. Usually I would be so iffy. I mean, fuck, I try to not have sex with men without knowing them. But Molly made me like, I'm really attracted to you. I want you to fuck me. I didn't say it. I mean, I did later. But it just made me super, super, super direct. And so, anyway, I dragged him outside and I say, look, dude, if your MO tonight was to make out with dudes, I totally support that. I think that's great. You know what I mean? If that's what you want to do, I'm really not that mad about that, but don't drag me along with it because I really want to have a connection with you tonight. And so he's fucked up and he's like, just chill, you know, we're just having a good time. Let's just have a good time. Let's just have a good time. You know, let's just have a good time. You know, and I was like, all right. So this is where I start going through it in my mind. I was like, so am I buzzkill? Am I just ruining this for him? Like, does he really want to be out here with these dudes? And I'm just sort of the extra baggage. And so I told him, like, if you think it would be easier for you to do what you want to do without me, like, by all means, like, I don't have to be here. I'm not having that much fun at this party. There are several other New Year's parties going on right now. You know what I mean? I could have gone and done something else. I could have gone and done something else. But, you know, I was having a good time. You know, things were so shitty for me that I was just like, let's keep this going or whatever. And I was still so new in poly that I was like, maybe this is what poly is like. Maybe this is what poly is like. Seeing a person who you're with make out with someone in front of you and not feel like this, you know, not feel like you're losing any part of your thing because he's doing that, right? And I will say, all night he did, you know, hold on to me. Like, he was with me. It's not like he left me. He held on to my hand really tight and things like that. But I just constantly felt like, well, if you really want to do this, I don't want to chill your buzz. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't want to do that. So anyway, we go back inside and it's more of the same shit. Now, I don't think I finished this thought, but like the sort of cycle we go through is we would dance on the dance floor for a good 20 or so minutes. And then we would walk through the crowd. He would make out with 3 people before going to the back patio to ask for a cigarette from someone who he would likely also make out with, right? And so on one of these journeys, when we eventually got to the back patio, there was this guy who recognized me. Now, I forgot to mention that this guy actually looked a lot like my ex. You know, he's a tall guy with dark hair and a very well manicured beard. He looks a lot like my ex. And And so we go out the back and there's this black guy and he is just like, oh my God, is that cat black? And he starts doing da-da-da, 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 da-da, da-da. Like he's like singing my theme song from forever ago, right? And he's just like fangirling, and his friend who's standing right next to him was like, girl, you need to stop. You know, she don't really want you to be doing all of that. Da, 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 da. And so I did the thing I usually do when people do that to me is like, I like smile and a very like, I do this thing where I learn to just keep a smile on my face. Even if I'm like unhappy, I just kind of have like this smile that I can just set on my face and just keep it there when I know I'm supposed to be pleasant, or I know I'm supposed to be like communicating to the outside, like I'm in a good mood and I'm pleasant. Because bitch, I was drunk and I was on Molly. I was into grinding on this 6'3" daddy right next to me. That was what my focus was. I was really not about to have a conversation with you about my shit. And on top of that, the guy I was with like didn't really want to stick around for that either. And so, you know, I'm getting a little agitated or whatever. This guy is like really wanting to talk to me for a really, really long time. And it just, yeah, it was really, I don't know. I always appreciate fans or whatever, but like, girl, like if I'm out on a date or something, like, can you just leave us alone? Leave me alone. I love you, but please leave me alone. You know, buy me a drink and then like bounce. So anyway, so anyway, so this guy's fangirling over me, and my date, he looks at him and he's like, you look really cute tonight, by the way. Can I get a kiss? And I fucking die. Because here he is, this guy who looks a lot like my ex, asking to make out with a fan of mine who clearly is familiar with my relationship. And it just really pissed me off. And like, I was able to really hold it in. But I was like getting, you guys know me, it's really hard for me to hide my fucking emotions. Because all I had to see, I went out being like, bitch, I'm gonna pop this pussy on a 6'3" daddy tonight. That was what my mind was in. Now I'm at this party, this gay party that I don't want to fucking be at, with this really cute guy who I do like, who's making out with guys who are fans of mine. And now I'm suddenly having to think about, well, what the fuck does this mean for my career? Is this gay boy gonna make a messy YouTube video about how I made out with Cat Black's boyfriend at a fucking party? Like, this is shit that I'm now having to think about that I really didn't want to have to think about, right? That's just the shit that's going through my fucking head, right? And so, I pull him aside, and I'm like, look, because at this point, I've accepted that he's gonna want to make out with people. He's fucked up on Molly. He's gonna want to make out with people. Okay. I told him, like, look, you can do whatever you want to do, but please, if someone comes up to me as a fan and is like, oh my God, I'm so happy to see you, don't make out with those people, please. Because it puts me in a position where I now have to worry about my image, which is not something I want to do when I'm trying to have a good time. I don't want to have to worry about my brand or image or this. I just want to have a good fucking time. And this is after days before I had already told him I don't want to go to this fucking party for this reason or another, da 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 da, you know. And so I was pretty aggravated, you know. And I did the same thing. I was like, look, if you want to be here and make out with dudes and you're not that plussed about me, then like go and do that. Like, I don't need to be here for that. And he was like, no, 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 I'm here with you. You know, let's just have a good time. Let's just have a good time. Let's just have a good time. Right? And so we go back into the party. Same shit. Same shit. People walk up to me. They're so excited to see me. And maybe because they're just in the vicinity of the area, he's kissing him. And I have to pull him aside again. And I'm like, look, dude, we had a conversation about this. I'm like getting pissed, but I'm also fucked up on Molly and really liking this guy. And I'm, not walking away, right? And I'm trying again to go through this in my mind of like, well, is this what poly is? Is poly me sitting here and not being upset that he's making out with other people? Is this what poly is? Also, is this what dating a man who isn't straight is? That I, would have to even worry about him being around men and wanting to do stuff with them in front of me, like there's a lot going through my fucking mind, and so, we go back in the party. We ultimately have a good time. He still makes out with people, but we had a really good time. At some point, I pushed him down on the stage and I was straddling him and dancing on top of him. Another time he spanked me in the middle of the dance floor. Like I ultimately had it. We ultimately had a good time, right? And so went to his place. We had sex. And, in the morning, we definitely ended with like a good old, we'll see each other again, da 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 da. I really like you, blah 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 blah. And we left it at that. And so, I went on with my life and, started dating other people and kept like wanting to hear from him, but wasn't. And, so eventually I got a text from him. And the text was something along the lines of, hey, I'm really, really sorry for not messaging you. I don't really like to ghost on people, so I'm really sorry that I did that to you. But, I've gone through a loss in the family. And, I've really been thinking about a lot of stuff. And I just think that I really shouldn't try to date another person. I really need the support of my partner right now, because he has a main partner, of course, and she was out of town for New Year's, so he was like, doing his thing. And so I was pretty bummed about that because that particular experience like really fucking put me through it. Like that particular experience really, 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 really put me through it because I was questioning if I should date men who were not straight. I was questioning if I was really polyamorous. I just questioned a lot of stuff because I realized how uncomfortable that made me. Now, after talking to a lot of polyamorous men, the men that I was dating at the time, actually, all the guys I talked to were like, yeah, that's really fucking disrespectful. And I would never do that. And so that kind of walked me back off the cliff of like, oh, maybe I'm not actually polyamorous if this really bothers me, And so, we left it there. I told him, let me know if you're ever in a different headspace and, you want to give it a try again. And, there's that. So fast forward to my date a couple of days ago. And I see, a 6'3" bearded guy in there, walking by me. And now when he first walked by me, I thought, oh, that looks like him, but I don't know if that is him. That thing where like you're familiar with a person and like the landmarks of their face, but you don't quite know if it's them or not. And so, he had gone to go get a drink at the bar and he came back. And when he came back, I looked at him right in the eye and I started waving at him and he was like, oh, it's you, you're here. And I was like, oh, hi. And I was there with a date, and, a lot of emotions were going through my mind because I didn't see that he was on a date. I just knew he was there. And I hadn't heard from him. So I was like, okay, clearly you're going through a lot of healing and things like that. So I'm going to give you your space and your time. And a conversation I'd had with him after that night was like, because I asked him, actually, not after the night, when we went home and we went to his place rather and had sex, one of the things I asked him was like, do you do stuff like that with your main partner? Because his main partner, of course, is a cis straight white woman, right? And he said no. He said he doesn't really do stuff like that with his main partner. And that really, really, really fucked with me because I'm very sensitive to people looking at me. Like in poly, what I've experienced over and over and over and over and over and over and over again is that polyamorous men overwhelmingly, when they decide to have a nesting partner, choose a cis white woman. Regardless of their racial background, they choose a cis white woman. That is the person who they tend to say, this is the person worthy enough of living with me, nesting with me, having kids with me, and marrying me and having that legal bond with me. And so I become very resistant to men who date me thinking in the back of their mind that I'm this, fun, sexy, unique thing that can spice up their fucking life. And so when he said that to me, it kind of fucked with me a little bit, because if this is something you really want to do, if this is something you're really interested in doing, why wouldn't you do that with your wife? Why take me to, not your wife, your partner, why take me to a gay party that I told you I didn't want to go to? Well, he didn't take me. I went there and we met there, but you know what I mean. And then decide that this is what you're doing with me, despite it not being something you do with your main partner. It did fuck with me because there's nothing about me. Like, I imagine that for a lot of people outside of the experiences of straight trans women believe that, trans people in general just sort of live in gay bars. They just sort of live in these gay spaces, right? And I've talked about this before, but that's definitely not the case with me. I, like I said earlier, don't really vibe with, gay spaces and gay, that sort of thing. It's not really my fucking jam. I respect and like the fact that they exist. And I know that for some trans people, they really are a haven and a safe space and all these other things. But for me, they're definitely not that. They're definitely not that. And so when he said to me he didn't do that with his main partner, I was like, well, fuck, does he think that this is where I live? Does he think that these gay bars in these gay spaces is like where I live, right? Because so much of like what was going through my mind is like, these were all the stereotypes that people have of bisexual people. He wanted to take me to this party and hold on to me, which gave him this image of reassuring to everyone around him that he was a straight guy. But he wanted to also make out with all these dudes. It was like, the whole having your cake and eating it too sort of thing of like, that they always say about bisexuals. Now, obviously that's a biphobic lie, but it's like, well, here we are, he wanted to hold on to me while doing all this other shit. And it just made me feel some type of way. And so anyway, that stuck with me. And, seeing him out, and then, when I said hi to him, I stood up and said hi and gave him a hug or whatever. And his date, and my date got up and said hi and introduced himself and all that stuff. And, bitch, I'm like 3 drinks in, I'm drunk, on very expensive, nice cocktails and red wine. And I was feeling some things. I was really feeling some things because here he was on this date with this woman who clearly wasn't his partner. And here the fuck I am, right? And so even though I was on this other date as well, it was hard for me to not be kind of upset. It was hard for me to not be kind of upset. And when he did come over and say hi to me, he did tell me that he was on a date with that lovely woman sitting alone over there, you know? But I can kind of get the vibe that he wasn't really having the best time on the date, right? And, so I was in my feelings or whatever. And this is the gag. This is the gag. So I spent a lot of time venting about this guy. I spent a lot of time being upset about this guy. But when he told me his name was Randy. I'll just make up a name, right? And I thought when he said that to me, I didn't remember that being his name. I did not remember that being his name, right? And so I was like, because he told me so he left eventually, like shortly after he'd come over and said hi. He walked over to me. He gave me like a good little hand hug sort of thing, said goodbye to me, and told me to text him, right? And so I realized when he left, this is the worst part of it all. I realized when he left that he was a completely different guy. That he was a completely different guy. Like a guy who, yes, ghosted me, but a completely different guy. And bitch, when I realized that, and then I also realized that I don't even remember the name of the guy who I had who I went on that New Year's Eve date, it really made me think about a lot of shit. Because I was sitting over there for a good portion of my date being upset about this guy and all the shit he did and had all these theories and this and that. And I was talking to the guy. I was like, with my date, I was like, what do you think about all this? Like, am I doing too much? Because I just got on this date with this guy who's, said, oh, you have a lot of baggage from your ex. And I was like, am I doing too much? Am I talking about this too much? And he said to me, I think you're overanalyzing it. I think that men don't think about things the way you do. I mean, he looks over at you and he thinks to himself, he's already moved on, she's already moved on. So like, why would he really care that much? Right. And so that stuck with me. Maybe I'm overanalyzing shit. Maybe men aren't this bombastic, I guess. Diabolical, I suppose. But yeah, he was a completely different guy. And that guy, yes, also ghosted on me. This was a guy who I actually met at the Halloween party last October. I mean, I don't even need to tell you guys a long ass story about that, even though there is kind of a long ass story to it. It was kind of a night. He's a screenwriter, lives in LA, lives like in the Franklin area. And we met at a party, and we went back to his place when I was really fucking drunk, and really fucked up. And I guess I should have known he wanted to fuck me, but I was like not totally sure. I don't know. There's still times where I think, oh yeah, men don't always just want to fuck people. But this was one of this was like me. I was still living with my ex at the time. We had broken up, and I was miserable, but I was trying to have a really good time on Halloween. And so I told him that I was trans, and he didn't believe me. And then, eventually he did. And I had sex with him. We had sex like 4 times. And I stayed over at his place for a full day. like 2 days actually. I slept in his bed 2 days on Halloween because I just didn't want to go home. And so we had a good time with each other. The last time I saw him, we watched a screener of Lady Bird at his place, which was fun. But then I stopped hearing from him, you know. And that guy, I like look like was him ghosting me. Did that suck? Yeah, it did. I mean, the reality is him and I are in the same social circles, so like we're gonna see each other a lot. So you know that was awkward. But was I as mad at him for ghosting on me? Not really. It was annoying and it sucked, but was I as mad about it? No, no. Um, but I was just really thinking about the fact that I've really sat there and was so passionately upset about a completely different person. And like maybe that says something. Like maybe like remember I made the video about how I'm addicted to drama? Maybe I'm just addicted to bitching and moaning about men. Like maybe that's a thing I have to sort of work through because I would much rather have positive, good experiences with men. You know, I don't want to have, you know, largely terrible, bad experiences with men, you know, but they're more interesting for me to talk about and they give me other things to talk about with other men. Um, you know, so like, what is that about? I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know. So, you know, I've been really going through it. So that was what happened recently. Because I feel like, I don't know, like I spend a lot of time on here and on my Facebook page complaining about men. Um, and that's not a fun thing. I mean, complaining about men, it's not fun, but maybe there's a part of me that enjoys having something to bitch about. You know? Maybe. I don't know what that is. So I got this one little section in the back. This one, no, two sections. Yeah, two sections, and I'm no three. And then I'm done taking all the little twists out of my hair. Look how long my shit is, y'all. Look how long my shit is. I live vicariously through your stories. Watch the bold and the beautiful. Men on there will give you life. I don't know what that is, but maybe. Look how long my hair is, bitch. Bitch, is your hair this long? Is your hair this long? I don't really know. My hair is though. I've been flat ironing my hair in a really long time. I kind of want to flat iron my hair. I kind of want to flat iron my hair. Now, last time I flat ironed my hair, I fucking hated it. I was like, why did I do this? This was a terrible idea. But I kind of want to do it. I kind of want to do it. I also kind of want to wand curl my hair. That's kind of something I sort of want to do is put some wand curls up in there. Put some wand curls up in there, you know? Some wand curls, you know? The last time I straightened my hair was when I did my Jeffree Star video. That was the last time I straightened my hair. I don't know how long ago that was. Let me look that up. Oh my God, I like how my video comes up. It was a year ago. Yeah, it was a year ago. I did get some like heat damage in the back of my hair though, which fucking sucked. Then again, I know that's where I started. The rest of my hair didn't get heat damage, but that part did, which was really aggravating. Okay, video, you can load. Stop being racist. The fact that this video isn't okay, my shit looked kind of good though. I remember straightening my hair and like hating it. I was like, this is terrible. Why did I do this? But I don't know, my shit's look kind of good.
Videos that I had forgotten about were his old racist MySpace videos.
You say black folk can.
Ooh, girl. I'm just trying to look at my hair, not listen to this racist stuff.
I used to follow him on MySpace way back in the day, and I forgot exactly why I stopped following him. That wasn't until Stephanie Nicole, who is also a fairly...
Bitch, I look so cute in this video. You can't tell me shit, bitch. You really can't. You really can't. You really cannot tell me anything. Okay? You can't mention to me, you can't critique me, bitch, ho. And my hair is so much longer now. My hair is so much longer. I can't wait to like wash my hair. Like actually wash my hair. I've been just detangling it all day long. So what types of things are they focusing on to talk about? What other things have they got? Oh no, what is this? Sorry, now I'm just looking through shit. Oh, so remember I told you guys how a lot of my friends had warned me about a very specific guy, and I was like, well, let me give him a chance. Let me give him a chance, you know? So I started texting that guy, and just it didn't work out, you know? Friends, but whatever. Such is life. Anyway, I'm having a really hard time getting these 3 pieces out. I have nothing more to say really, so I think I'm gonna go. This was a good like hour, 22-minute rant. I didn't know we were here for this long. Oh my god. I did not know. But yeah, eventually I'll post a picture of my hair on social media and you guys can see how long it is. But it's so fucking long now. It's so fucking long. Because what month was this Jeffree Star video? What month was this? July. So yeah, my shit's grown a lot in a year. So yeah. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Matane.